So good evening. We welcome you to the Committee of the Whole meeting on April 25th, 2023. Respectfully acknowledging that this meeting is being held on the traditional territory of the Quagga people of Taylor. More of approval of the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Dorwood, seconded by Councillor Dugas. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Business arising from the minutes on the Committee of the Whole, March 28th, 2023, action item report for information. Any comments, questions?
Is anything going on with that old item there? February 20th, 2019 item, the first one. Have we revisited it all, or we're waiting for an opportunity still?
Sorry, can you just tell me which item?
That's meeting with the school district to look at gym facility.
It's still sitting there, because we're still doing it, we've also not really had much contact.
Okay. Don't want to fall off the radar.
No, that's why it's still there.
Timing that matters.
Yeah. Any other? So I was just noticing that our town clock is stuck on either midnight or noon. I'm not quite sure which one, on the one facing up Market Street. Any word on how that's going?
So it was put on hold because when Chief Tommy Nelson had his, when he was hospitalized, the DHB wanted to wait until he was able to come forward. And then we haven't had much contact with the Cloggate, which was the intention, was to bring everybody together to have that discussion. So we've been reaching out. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened much.
Okay. So hopefully now that things are settling out down at the Quagga, that did they reach out? Okay, any other comments? Right, well, one of them is on the next agenda item, the 2023 annual spring cleanup program and the curbside pickup for discussion. Were we able to get anyone to step forward?
So, did anybody else come forward besides the one? Just the one. Okay. So we have one who doesn't have a vehicle, who's willing to help. And there has been some uptick from Richie wanting to assist as well. But the question would be, is we haven't organized it as a district to go around and do it. So discussion can be had here as to what council would like to do, because obviously we haven't budgeted any funds to go there. We're also down 2 people currently at the yard. So our people power is low. So it would really depend on what the direction of the committee is to go forward as to what you would like us to do. And if Cam has anything further to add, that's it.
Can you just through the chair? Can you just give us a summary again of what the curbside program is?
Oh, sorry. So
I believe I know, but I want to.
Yeah, this is the seniors pickup. So historically, it had been done by Rod Inglis, and Rod Inglis 2 years ago ceased doing it. And so what it is it's about 4 to 6 hours of pickup for seniors that register in advance in order to get the spring cleanup stuff taken to the town.
Like large appliances and mattresses and that type of.
I don't think we ever did large appliances. I think we have done mattresses. I'm not sure where he cut it off. I know last year the volunteers that did it, who were great, did express that it was a lot, that even though they capped it at so many people, there was a lot of stuff, and it was more than they could have with the 2 people. We have reached out to some of the fundraisers in the community as well, the school being one for grad. They declined, and then we've reached out to the travel group as well to see if they've got a bunch of young people to be able to do that, but we haven't heard anything back.
And what was the proposed date?
So we're doing the spring cleanup between the 9th and the 13th.
Okay.
That people that wish to register to have their materials picked up, that they call between the 5th and 7th of May. So we would need to notify the public.
Before that, yeah.
So
if we did it with Public Works, do we have any, staff that we can call on, like a call-in staff or temporary?
Everyone's full-time.
Everybody's full-time, yeah. So even now at this point, we have hired one summer student so far. The next round the next summer student posting probably won't be filled until the second week of May. It might be filled a bit sooner depending on how things go in the interviews on Monday.
And we're down 2 people. Also, that's cool.
Is there any other like youth sports organizations we can try and reach out to, like youth soccer, hockey, or like minor hockey, or anyone else that would be willing to chip in? I know it's kind of a stretch, but
Well, we could.
it just seems like it's gonna be pretty tough to make this happen in such a short amount of time with such low amount of volunteers that's going on, right?
And we have been advertising.
Yeah.
For quite a few weeks, so trying to find volunteers to be able to fill those positions.
Yeah.
And that's why we reached out to the school as well, because they've got those connections
Yeah.
to those youth groups to see, but there doesn't seem to be any.
We also tried our vendors.
Sounds
Would it,
good. Go ahead, sorry.
would it be a fundraiser for a group?
Well, we actually offered to pay,
Okay.
give a donation to whichever group it was that was gonna do it, so that they would have some fundraising opportunities. So I think we're offering $500 to try to sweeten the pot.
No biters.
So have you talked to, I know you talked to the travel group and the grads, but did you talk to the 2024 graduates? So somehow because I've got a grandson graduating in 2024, I've been added to the group list.
Of course.
I try not to talk on it, but they are doing some active fundraising right now. So do you know Sabrina Dent? Yeah, so she's the one kind of leading the conversation on the group and checking to see if people are interested in doing things like that.
Another organization to try would be Rotary as well. Paul Meyer has the correct contact.
Because it would be a shame not to do it, because I know it's been so valuable to people that are older and can't move things themselves. Counselor Robertson, did you have something to say?
No, I was just suggesting I was one of those older people.
Yeah, but you've got a truck and sons that can take your stuff to the garbage.
Yeah, right. The truck works. One of the sons is otherwise occupied. But yeah, no, we do. I'm just.
So I guess if it's okay, just in terms of direction, if we can't find volunteers, I know we went down this road a few years ago with Allison when there was a threat that we might not have anybody, just in terms of costing and where to draw the line, for spring cleanup. So we're already expensing quite a bit of money for spring cleanup. The reason why we'd gone down the road of volunteers was to help to keep the expenses low. If I was to look back in previous years, we're spending about $5,000 to $6,000 for the campaign itself, in addition to our regular garbage service. It isn't a line item that is currently budgeted for us to do the over and above. So if we are unable to get volunteers, how is council's feeling to expensing it this year? But we'd have to increase, we won't be able to increase the budget now because the budget's going to be adopted in the next meeting, but going over on that line item. And I just open it up to the populace for that discussion. My preference would be volunteers.
My preference would be to see it happen. So, if we can't get a volunteer group, I would prefer that it still happened. I think it's an important community service.
I second that too.
Yeah. Counselor Dugas?
Yeah, I think that would be good that we don't do it, but when we're looking for volunteers and stuff like that, when you got it stretched over, there's quite a few days there. It was like shut down. to lesser days, it you might be able to get, because you're talking about having those put that litter out or whatever on the street, all those different days, so you gotta keep going back and forth, or how's that work?
No, so the people sign up and then it's only during a certain time frame that all of the pickup actually
So it's gonna
occurs.
happen all in one day?
All in one day, so
Okay.
but typically, I believe when Rod used to do it over 2 days. The group that did it last year tried to condense it to one day, but
Right.
unfortunately had difficulty fitting it all into.
Spills
one day.
over,
Yeah,
yeah,
it spilled over. So what we would have to do, our preference would be is that we've already got it slated for, it's either going to be Thursday afternoon or Friday,
okay,
whichever, it would have to be a specific day that we'll
Right.
pick up.
okay, yeah, okay, well, that makes it a little bit better. The volunteers know that when we find them?
Yep.
Okay.
Councillor Robertson?
Yeah, thanks. So just to be clear, the, the pickup would just be for seniors. And other than that, it's just free tipping for a certain period of time.
Mhm.
So part of me thinks that the notion of cleanup and whether it's being picked up or dropped off is that it's not ending up in the bush. It's not ending up somewhere else. And that's a positive. So I mean, there is a definite positive there. I'm just wondering if the RD, because they also benefit from that and not having to clean up stuff from their other areas, would like to help with it, with the costs of it. It may be a bit of a stretch, but I'm okay with it.
I can comment.
Go ahead.
Okay. The RD has stopped sponsoring spring cleanups and has for a number of years now. I believe when I was in Alert Bay, that was when it was communicated that they were no longer going to provide free tipping or any kind of incentives for spring cleanups.
Right.
Councillor Texmer?
How much, like, how much garbage are we talking here? Like, give me an idea what we're looking at
A
here.
couple of 40-yard bins. Like I believe we paid for 3 40-yard bins
Yeah, okay.
to be able to access all of that.
And that's just like, so basically, are the bins are just gonna be out at the transfer station? Someone in town's got to go around and collect and then bring out there?
Correct.
Okay, and then, so you got your metal bins, your household garbage, and then
The wood bin,
the wood bin?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just trying to
so
think
it
of,
all has to be sorted.
all has to be sorted too, yeah. Cause that's kind of in my brain, like, well, what about, reaching, if we're spilling over budget, what's it gonna cost to have Fox's truck to come around an extra day and pick up some stuff? But if it's all has to be sorted and everything, that's
Yeah.
obviously out of the question then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So my preference is that we go over budget if we can't get a volunteer service group to do it. And if we get someone that's doing it for fundraising, then we maybe tap into our grant and aid.
We've already budgeted for the volunteer group, though. It's what we haven't budgeted for the staff to do it. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we were hoping that we'd get a volunteer group, which would come forward to council tonight and say we want to make a donation to send B group, rather than giving gas cards or whatever it happens to be. And, but unfortunately, we didn't have anybody who came forward, but it was intended that it would come out of grant name.
So do we want to do a tentative, if a volunteer group comes forward that we, will donate up to, or a fundraising group or whatever, donate up to $400? $300?
Five,
$500?
I'll make that motion.
Which one?
That we donate up to $500 for a volunteer group to do the
Mhm.
seniors spring
Thanks.
pickup.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Robertson. Any other comments or? Councillor?
One more comment. So the district of Port Hardy is obviously willing to, if we go through with it, it's $500, but does this make it open to other businesses in town to be able to pitch in for this, for a fundraiser to sweeten the pot for volunteers to go out? like say, for example, a company, electrical company. With another so-and-so bound of money in there to try and make this work, or trying to get more volunteers to sweeten the pot, basically, like donate to it.
I can't see why businesses couldn't donate to.
Just trying to make it attractive for someone to come in and say, hey, oh, okay, well, now we're looking at a decent amount, let's go and do it, kind of thing, right? Yeah,
And we're just talking about seniors, right? So,
Yeah, seniors who don't have the
so
ability
it'll
to
be
take it
like
themselves.
1 or 2 days max.
We have to cap it, otherwise it would.
Oh, totally, we know that.
Go
So
forever.
it'll be like, say 1 day, if it spills over, then it could be the next part of the next day or whatever.
It could be part of the next day, yeah.
Okay.
So ultimately, if the district ends up taking it on, what we're gonna have to figure out is how long it would take us to fill
Mhm.
trucks. And then what basically we're gonna be going back and forth out to the tech end site to figure out exactly how many we can fit in 1 day with the available
Mhm.
staff that we currently have. And then we're gonna have to cap it. It'll be a first come, first served.
could we make it public that the district was like on the webpage that the district willing to put out a certain amount of money for a volunteer group?
Mhm.
Just so that everyone can start sharing it on Facebook or something like that, so that just makes it that much better, I guess, or more chances.
And you know, honestly, I think personally, I think $500 is great. And I think if we can get a fundraiser group willing to do it, they'd be happy with $500. But it's getting that group.
Mhm.
What we could do is hope.
Yeah,
Try and get it out there, get it on the page, get everyone to share it, and
yeah.
some parent might be like, oh, hey, like,
And then mention it to Sabrina too, that some of those kids now are driving too. Oh, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
And the direction is that if we don't get a volunteer group, then we will allocate staff time. to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's a recommendation to council, not a motion, you know,
Oh, that's right. of
That's
course.
right? Can't make these decisions here.
Well, we can, we just have to pass it on to the next meeting.
To the same people.
Yeah, you're against it now. How did that happen? We've been there before.
All right, so we have no delegations. Moving on to the Port Hardy Harbor Authority, February 2023 monthly report for information. Any comments? Kevin,
Unless you want to run with it.
do we, yeah, no, go ahead. Our CAO, Nelson Smith, has a couple comments.
Yeah, and it's not specific to the report itself, but just to bring everybody's attention to, our harbor manager has been planning to do a blessing of the fleet, June the 13th. So you'll notice that it's been added into the calendar. And what the blessing of the fleet is to basically start off the fishing season with a positive vibe. Going out into the ether so that everybody goes and has a prosperous time. Apparently, there's quite a few of our harbors all along the coast that do this on a regular basis. So Anika had come to me and asked if it was something that we could do, and provided a bit of a plan and a small little budget. It's about $2,000, which is covered under our admin budget for the harbor. And we just wanted to make sure that council was aware so that they can make some opportunity to be able to come and have a barbecue, go and have a burger, and enjoy the blessing of the fleet. Both the chief from Westland Upper Band and the chief from the Quaggy Band have been invited and been discussed, so the date works for them so far. So currently it is scheduled for the 13th.
great.
Do we know what time it's at? Or do you have another commitment?
It'll
that
be
day?
a lunchtime,
Okay.
So that everybody can enjoy barbecue. And
Okay,
yeah, I'll get the times all firmed up once we get everything else all started.
thank you.
I just want to make a comment too about how much our harbor manager is doing above and beyond just what we,
Mhm.
you know, the reputation is preceding her. And we're so lucky to have her there and her team, and it's really good to see.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Van Isle 360 is also coming up.
on the 8th of June.
on the 8th of June as well. And Nick has been very involved with that too, and getting a contest going with kids, so.
And if you didn't get the e-blast from the chamber, I think everybody got it, but if you didn't get it, let me know and we'll forward it on.
Great, good to see it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Port Hardy Water Treatment Plant, the monthly report, for information. Councilor Dorward?
Every single report, it says, coliform samples were collected, and it says, all were returned within normal parameters or something along those lines. But this one doesn't.
I can assure you that it did meet the
Oh,
parameters.
thank you. I was like, hey, it didn't say that.
I actually asked him last time he did it. He can't really think about it.
Yeah, which is great. That's good. I'm sure we would have heard about it if it hadn't been. Thank you. It's just that all the other ones always said it.
And
Just a question to the
Yeah.
chair. Yeah, I noticed that, and it could be something to do with the reservoir of Bear Cove, but I noticed that the flow this last month was greater than all the other months before, but I know you did dump Bear Cove Reservoir, so I'm sure that that took up some extra volume of water. You had 133 million liters, and that was the highest for that month on record.
Funny you should ask. I do have a report coming next council meeting about a trend line, but the linear regression I did about the usage of our water over the last 4 years.
Yeah,
So wait for the next report.
okay.
Is it a use, like the metered usage report or?
It is a linear regression based on this data, the monthly data, to determine the trend of the water averages. Because if you look at it, you can't really tell if it's up or down. If you do a simple linear regression and then do an ANOM test,
Correct.
yes, statistically, it'll show that we're trending downwards.
Cool.
Mhm. Great, thanks, yeah.
Wait with bated breath.
significant, don't hold your breath significantly.
I'll explain in the memo what those tests mean.
Any other comments? Oh, Pam, you were saying you, we're gonna do a verbal report on? Or is that gonna be next
If
month?
anybody has any questions about anything that's gone on over the last little bit, although Cam has been on vacation for the last 2 weeks. And he was at a conference the week before that, so he might have to report back, but he did do a report, but he was back from vacation after we published the agenda, so it'll go on the next report, but if there's anything that came up, he's available for
Councilor
your
Dorward?
question.
I just had a generic ops question that a citizen asked today. They had mentioned that the sidewalk on Beaver Harbor Road between the trailer park and the ball field is in rough condition. And I've seen that from time to time, we've done little chunk replacements in places that I walk. And just wondering how often the sidewalks are inspected and what sort of damage has to, or deterioration has to have occurred in order to replace that portion. If there's anything like that.
Yeah.
Provide.
Go
Mayor,
ahead.
we do have a very robust sidewalk policy set up by the MIBC. We do inspect it every year. There are criteria for size of deflection between the panels. We sorted out between level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1, the panel is significant enough that needs to be fixed immediately. Number 2, it'd be fixed based on our budget. Number 3, it would be fixed when we get around to it. So far from our analysis, there are no level 1s. So nothing has to be, that we know of, has to be fixed immediately.
Okay.
There's a few number 2s. And most of the repairs, if any, would be level 3.
Okay.
And we actually have a sidewalk measuring tool.
Is it similar to that crosswalk asphalt one that you showed?
It is exactly that one. In fact, I believe there's one in my office, if anybody wants to have a look at it. We get them actually directly through the MIBC. Because then when we are challenged, then we have an actual measuring tool that we currently use. And so we'll take photos to make sure that it conforms to the actual measuring tool that we reference in the policy.
Okay. Do you know off the top of your head if that portion is a 2 or a 3?
It'd be a 1.
It would be a
Oh,
1?
sorry, it'd be a 3.
Okay.
I thought you just said.
Change it now.
I'm chopping it up for Disney right now.
It'll be out there tonight.
Thank you for that information.
Any other questions? Thank you, Kim. So moving on to our Director of Recreation and Community Services, Tanya Cole. April 2023 monthly report for information.
Well,
And
greetings
you do-
from the beautiful territory of Penticton. I'm here enjoying, I'm enjoying the RFABC conference in the beautiful sunshine, 17-degree weather, which is a stark
Oh.
contrast from my travel day on Thursday. Yes, I traveled from the island on the windy 110-kilometer-an-hour windstorm, and I got stuck at the ferries because the ferries were canceled. So ended up staying there for 12 hours, managed to get out onto the Coquihalla at around 10 p.m. and incurred a winter whiteout condition, blizzard conditions. Unbelievable. Yeah. So I'm happy to be here. I may not come back. Anyways, yeah, as you can see from the report, we've had a very busy first 3 months of the year. One of the reasons why I like putting these reports together is that it gives me an opportunity to take a step back and reflect on all the success that my team and I have been able to produce in a short period of time. And there's always day-to-day adversity that comes up, but really to really showcase how much volume that we can produce, and with a very small team. The cool thing about the spring guide is that we've been able to offer some new exciting new programs, and we've been able to bring on new instructors, and we've really come a long ways. And when you reflect how far we've come since 2021, we have instructors now that are coming to us and wanting to contract and work for us. There's only one instructor, the dog training dog obedience instructor, that's actually one that we recruited. So we've been recruiting for 2 years. The rest are just coming by referrals. And as you know, and some of these are, the patronage is coming from Port McNeill. There's a big contingency now of clients that are signing up and creating accounts and registering for these programs, and really championing some of these registrations. So for instance, the senior vocal ensemble and the choir ones, that's being championed by one of our pickleball members who comes here 5 days a week and from Port McNeill, and is really advertising, promoting the registration for this new program. And it just goes to show that we're no longer just a Port Hardy. We're no longer Port Hardy based. We're really making strides into the North Island region. And as the Port McNeill Parks and Rec Commission said, Port Hardy Recreation's taken over the whole of the region. So we're a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, so I just wanted to highlight, behind every one of these line items of programs, there's a ton of work. There's a ton of work that my very small team, my programming team, consists of one full-time staff and 2 part-time staff. And and then there's me, on the weekends and the evenings, making sure that all the balls don't drop. So, there's a ton of work that goes into this, the promotion of it, the client satisfaction, the class, the instructor setup, the negotiations, and all that kind of stuff. So, just wanted to make you aware that that we really put a lot of thought into who we're contracting with. And because we've been so successful, we were able to really hone in on instructors that we know that will fill a niche in the community. So not every instructor who wants to work for us, we say yes to. We do screen them. We have a quality control, making sure that they offer something that is very unique, or that there's a niche in the community, and also that they come with a background of experience and an agenda and a solid plan on how they're going to instruct this program. So yeah, so I'm just very, very proud of my team, and I can't speak enough about them. They're there 7 days a week at the beck and call of any questions that come up from social media or from emails or myself. They really go above and beyond what they're budgeted for and what their hourly, what they, the hours that they're scheduled for. So we're very conscientious of making sure that we give the best customer service possible. As you can see, so all the work that goes into setting up these courses has really reflected on the revenue. We've been able to bring in some really significant revenue already in the first 3 months. And keep in mind that revenues do fluctuate on a daily basis. This is based on new registrations coming in, and of course cancellations. If a program gets canceled, then and they want a refund, and that decreases the registration. The arena ice rentals have been really interesting. It's been a long ice season of trying to get some users to pay on time, which has not always been the case. So there's still some revenue coming in from some of the hockey users. And very successful skating lessons and hockey camp, spring break hockey camp. So that's brought in some significant revenue. And then the sponsorship money has just been unbelievably successful this year for us already. I just got off the phone today with Applewood. They're sponsoring $1,000 for the Hardy Hustle. Napa, yeah, $1,000. It's amazing. Yeah, Napa Auto Parts has come through with $500. So that's not even reflected in the pie chart here. So really just phenomenal community support and enthusiasm for putting on a new event, which has been really quite exciting. It's really quite a community event. Easter Festival, as you can see from the numbers, it was just phenomenal. Just the numbers far exceeded what we were expecting. 430 patrons and 34 vendors. So my team I'm just so proud of them. They just put so much thought into every single detail, and it's a ton of, like I keep saying, it's a ton of work. It really is, and the organization of it, and making sure that that we have enough staff in place, and that the staff are trained and know what to expect. So yeah, I can see these events just growing from year to year, and just the feedback has just been phenomenal. Hardy Hustle, wow. It's taking over our lives here. So I'm super happy. Like as of an hour ago, we have our 85th registration. Like, wow. Like, that's unbelievable. I mean, when I first dreamt this up, I was hoping that thought maybe we'd get 25 and 50 at the most. And here we are, 85 registrations. And when you look at where they're coming from the Comox Valley, from Courtenay, from Gold River, from Lake Cowichan, of course, Port McNeill and Port Hardy. So we've really been able to make some headway into this, and people are excited, really, really excited. Thank you. A huge shout out to Councillor Dorward for encouraging me to go down to Comox. The plan was for both of us to go down, but that's okay, Janet. I blazed the trail at 4 a.m. But it was just a great partnership between us. I was so welcomed when I ran the half marathon in Comox on March 19th, and I was really very sincerely welcomed by the race director, Wayne, and he allowed me to have a booth set up, so I was able to market the Hardy Hustle. And since then, it's just been this wonderful relationship of guiding and mentoring me on how to prepare for our event, because it's a huge undertaking. There's so many different facets and so many moving pieces and deadlines and and things that I haven't even thought about even as a racer. So it's been a really, really wonderful to see them come through. And then you can see from the letter that I wrote, they have welcomed us, and they're going to be giving us signage and volunteer vests and water jugs and just a ton and a Seiko race timer to help us time the event. So all that's that's being loaned to us at no charge. And what's even cool, we had 3 racers from the Comox Valley Runners Society that are coming to race the event. And so they'll be there for the June 3rd social, and they'll be there to help us with some of the some of the times and some of the questions I have. It's for the finish site and just partake in the event. So we can't thank them enough for their generosity, and and we wouldn't be able to run this without a deficit if we didn't have all of their generous donations of items. And yeah, mainland traffic control. Wow, like another connection through being there at the Comox Half Marathon. I just got talking to someone, and that person put me on to mainland traffic control, and they're offering to do the traffic control between Hardy Bay and the highway as a donation, as a part of their volunteer community program. So again, that's another huge expense that we didn't have to put out. And then the list of sponsors there have just been phenomenal. So added to the list is the Napa and Applewood. Yeah. And we still have a few, and there's still a few more outstanding donations that we're hoping to receive. So that number could grow even more. Should I just keep going, or Brent, go ahead.
Councillor Robertson had his hand up.
Oh, no, I thought you were done, Tanya. I'll chime in when you're done.
Okay.
Thanks.
Moving along to disc golf. Yeah, I had a really good meeting with our new proponents, Alan and Chris. So Alan is our new proponent, and Chris is there as a mentor. We've given the go ahead to order the baskets, so that's in the works. And now we'll be meeting with operations people and their team. They have a team of volunteers that will be helping to clean up some of the area around the civic center there and get the course designed. The Marina Drive floor maintenance, what an eye-opener that was. Didn't expect mold behind the wall there, but I'm glad we did it. You know, it's one of those projects, you talk about it for years, and you know, if you don't have a plan in place, it doesn't get done. And I'm just so happy that we did it, because some of those, actually one of the boards, sign boards, that it just crumbled. As soon as we took the screws out, it just fell into 1,000 pieces. That's how old some of these boards are, and they haven't been moved, and they haven't, there's been no maintenance done. So yeah, I'm really happy with our new staff, our two maintenance staff. They got right in there and got their change of clothes and put on their masks and got rid of that mold. So that's all been taken care of now, and we have the fresh plywood up there, and we did it all just before the ball tournament last weekend. So it's been lighting fires, but we've got it done. And yeah, just a couple of new staff. We have a couple of new maintenance staff on board. We're really happy with them. They seem to be really enjoying the work culture and fitting in really well. Yeah, and yeah, just we're doing what we can to keep you guys happy.
Councillor Robertson.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya, and yeah, thanks for the shout out about the pie chart. I'll try and back off that for a while. But anyway, yeah, no, I mean it's wonderful, the successes. I just have a few questions. One, what is the difference between the revenue that we're bringing in now and say earlier in 2020 or 2021? Is it like measured in the tens of thousands, or? And I'm just going towards your last comment about the challenge with staffing, is whether there's enough consistent revenue coming in that that would enable us to hire more staff. Now, I hasten to add also that I have been a proponent of fewer barriers rather than more barriers. So that's fewer fees rather than more fees. And I have another question about that, but whether there's enough money coming in to look at that.
Well, I mean, I think that the success of our programming, you know, on the recreation side without the pool has enabled us to bring in that kind of revenue. And what I wanted to show, you know, display in the report is that, you know, that cost is not always a barrier. That the community is looking for ways to recreate, and you know, if there is something that really appeals to them, they will pay for that, you know, that user fee. And so, you know, I mean, we all know that recreation is heavily subsidized. I mean, we're only recovering 10% of our costs. The rest is all covered by taxpayers, right? So, you know, does that user fee help bring in some of that revenue? Absolutely. You know, I can't speak to what the revenue was like before I started, but I know that we didn't budget. We're budgeting $75,000 now for 2023 for recreation programming, apart from the pool and apart from the arena side of things. So that's all new revenue that's come into
Yeah.
play since I've been here. You know, and I think what we have to remember that Port Hardy Recreation as it is today has only been around since spring of 2021, or even with the first guide of the fall of 2021. Before then, we were arena and we were a pool. And so we relied on the pool revenue and we relied on the arena revenue. There really was no recreation programming. So this 45,000 that we've been able to bring in, that's going to grow, that is new revenue. And even with the pool coming online, hopefully by the end of this year, that revenue is not going to change. We're going to continue to be able to offer recreation programs, in addition to the pool programs.
Yeah.
And so,
Is some of that revenue being used to offset the staffing costs then? That may be
Yeah.
a question.
That would be a CAO question.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'll just speak
I
just
would
a
say
little bit.
no.
So
yeah,
we went from about $150,000 in staff wages for recreation, about 160,000 in 2020. We're up to about 400,000 at this point in time for staff wages, roughly anywhere between 380 and about 410. And then we're bringing in revenue. Yeah, she's not incorrect in that we are bringing in that revenue. We brought in, what was it, $80,000 last year. And we didn't have the pool online, and of course, we did increase a bit of the revenue side on the skating side, on the arena side, because we were doing a bunch of different programs. But the other thing is that we need to make sure that we keep them separate so that we know what's going on in the arena and what's going on in recreation. So when we do programs, we're trying to keep them separated. So hopefully that's translating going forward. But that's just to kind of give council a bit of a snapshot as to how we may have increased $45,000 at this point in time, but our expenses have increased quite considerably in order to make up that $45,000 or the $75,000 that we did last year.
Okay, thanks for that, Heather. That is good to know. I have another question, and it's more specific to the cost of Bronze Cross. I'm assuming that the Bronze Cross is what the kids need to try and get jobs as lifeguards.
yeah. So there's, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if there's a way that we could talk about to offset some of that cost, particularly since we might be the beneficiaries of them taking that program.
Absolutely, Fred. Thank you for that question. So the Bronze Cross and Bronze Medallion are the entry level courses that any candidate would need in order to become a lifeguard. So we hire them. We allow as early as 13 years old to go into those programs. We don't hire 13-year-olds. We hire 14-year-olds. And if those 14-year-olds are committed to working for us, then we subsidize that by half.
Okay.
So that's one. So we do have external candidates now who are registered in those programs, and because they have a commitment with us to work for us, then we will subsidize by 50%. The exciting thing is we also have 3 internal candidates, so three current staff who have expressed interest in becoming lifeguards. Yes, so very happy about that. They're skate patrollers, and so we are waiving 100%. They're not paying for any of these courses.
Good.
Just like we send people to refrigeration courses and pay for that, or for supervisory courses. We are 100% covering the cost of all lifeguarding courses for staff who have expressed interest in becoming lifeguards.
That's great.
Yeah. And then the cost is high, and those costs are reflected in the user bylaw. So those are set by council. So the only candidates who would be paying the full amount are ones who are outside of our organization, who are taking them to work elsewhere. So if they're not committed to working for us, then we're not going to subsidize them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for that, Tanya.
Yeah,
And just to fill you in, we're sitting at about, so we have 6 candidates right now in the Bronze Cross, Bronze Medallion, and we'll have 6 for the National Lifeguard Program, which is the next step. So, and that consists of these candidates, plus we have our returning candidates. So if everyone gets through these courses, then there's no guarantee. Not every candidate, is strong enough to get through all 3 steps and become a lifeguard. But, if they do, we're sitting at around 12, about a dozen lifeguards come
That's great,
September. So
I think.
we're sitting good.
Thank you. Anyone else have any? Councillor Dorward?
Yeah, Tanya, fantastic work as always, and like you said, some of the comments from the Easter Festival, and there, hear all sorts of really fantastic comments constantly about Port Hardy Recreation, so yes, you're continuing to do an absolutely outstanding job. Thank you very much on behalf of the whole community. Just a couple. Oh, on the Hardy Hustle, I've bumped into a few people that are doing it for the very first time. They don't run, they're walking though, which is fantastic. And this is a humongous deal for them. So that is really cool. I'm really, really excited for them doing that. So yeah, they're just starting training and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
I love to see people going from less active to more active. That's always because it's close to my heart
Mhm.
and to everybody's heart.
Our heart.
On the disc golf,
Mhm.
Rotary's donating the money for the baskets, and they also were interested in doing part of the work, like installation work, if there's concrete to be poured, digging, that sort of work party type stuff. So
Perfect.
please connect.
With Sean. Perfect. Mhm.
Yeah, well, yeah, Sean and or Adam, like
Or Adam.
depending, both probably is best. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate
Because
that.
Adam's the current this year, but because the project's gonna go into next Rotary year. Sean got in there, but Adam's still the guy for right now too, so both are appropriate.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Do you have some comments?
Yeah, I'll just to say, Tanya, awesome job. I've had a lot of people in the community stop and say, man, I can't believe what a change has happened to the recreation department. It's just like awesome. There's so many things going on. And everybody in the community is definitely excited about it. Unfortunately, I can't do the hustle, but I'll volunteer to help.
Thank
where
you.
we need volunteers, but my hustling
And friends.
days are over, sorry.
Perfect.
But
Perfect.
thanks a lot, Tanya, for your good work. That's awesome.
You're welcome, Dennis. Yeah. And Fred, can I put you down as a volunteer?
Absolutely, yes.
Excellent. Great.
You my Gatorade man.
I'm not gonna run the side,
And
I'm gonna give it to you.
So I want to echo too, my thanks for your hard work in the recreation department, but also the hard work of every department
Oh, totally.
with the district. And as well, the work that's being done out at the ball field right now, I've been taking the dog out to Stories Beach, the tides are low in the morning, and seeing the guys out there changing the roof on the dugout, and that's all part of recreation. And I don't know if we do any scheduling, but we certainly maintain the fields. And so everyone, it's not just your team, Tanya, that's working on recreation, it's the whole district is working on recreation. But we certainly appreciate the programming that's going on, so thank you. Any other comments or questions, discussion? Councilor Tetzman.
I just wanted to say to Tanya that I had a bunch of family in town for the Easter weekend. My cousin came up with his wife and his 4 kids and other family, myself, our kid Christy, Gary and Maridi, my parents, everyone was there, and everyone was absolutely astounded by the organization that went on and how much there was for the kids to do, and the joy when he walked in there. All the kids were just ripping around. Like as soon as I got my boy in there, he was pretty well gone. That was it. He was gone. But yeah, it was awesome. It was super good. So I do want to say thanks for that. And it is like everyone else has echoed that around the community, people are talking. It's great. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right. No other comments, questions? Motion to adjourn? Councilor Dorward. All right, we have 11 minutes until the next meeting.